5. It says, "My son, attend unto my wisdom, and bow thine ear to my understanding, that thou mayest regard discretion, and that thy lips may keep knowledge." One of the things that disappoints me is that I'm afraid that our people do not read our bulletin. I'm afraid that we put the effort out, and the only thing they look at is the back page, and then they'll just barely scan that. So tonight I'm going to read to you John Plowman. Long ago, my experience taught me not to dispute with anybody about tastes and whims. One might as well argue about what you can see in the fire. Can you imagine arguing with somebody about what you can see in the fire? When you see two little ones arguing, that's what it amounts to. You know? And the whole point here is one person may have one taste and another person have another taste. I still remember Sister Joanne walking in here and saying, "When you gonna paint the walls?" She doesn't realize that time has moved on and the rustic look has a place in society. It sure didn't have a place in her, in what she liked and what she didn't like. It needed to be painted, I'll tell you. So, there's no use plowing the air or trying to convince matters of no consequence. It is useless to try to end a quarrel by getting angry over it. It is much the same as pouring oil on a fire to quench it, or blowing coals with the bellows to put them out. You can't stop an argument by getting angry. You can't do it. And the way to start an argument is to be selfish. Just want your way. Don't give any place for anybody else. Just want your way, and I'll guarantee you there's going to be an argument. Some people like row 1. Some people like row. I don't envy their choice. Row is fish eggs. I've seen men cut the belly of the fish open and pick up the roe and eat it just like that. What's wrong? You guys don't like sushi? Not that kind. Every kind of sushi is all the same. It's all fishy, gutsy, uncooked fish flesh. That's all it is. That's all it is. And, one type of is the same as any other type. And I eat some of it. Okay, I'm gonna tell you, I eat some of it. I even like the octopus legs. Those are hot. They're really hot. But I like them. But it's all the same. There's no difference in it. Some people like roe. I don't envy their choice. I'd rather walk 10 miles to get out of a dispute than a half mile to get in one. I have often been told to be bold and take the bull by the horns, but as I rather think that the amusement is more pleasant than profitable, I shall leave it to those who are so cracked already that an ugly poke with a horn could not damage their skulls. Hard-headed people, that's what he's talking about. Hard-headed people, they don't listen. They don't move, they don't give space for anybody else. It's their way or the highway. Hard-headed people. I knew a pastor like that once. He was on Guam, then he transferred to Germany. And, he kept about 12 people all the time. And now that's not the reason. He didn't keep 12 because he was always disputing something. But he was pretty cantankerous. He didn't get along with a whole lot of people. Solomon says, leave off strife before it be meddled with, which is much the same as if he had said, leave off before you begin. When you see a mad dog, don't argue with him unless you are sure of your logic. Instead, get out of his way. If nobody calls you a coward, you need not call him a fool. Everybody knows that. That's some things that I do. I go ahead and do things when everybody already knows it, and it's a waste of time. I get involved, I run my mouth, I say things sometimes that don't need to be said, that everybody already knows. It's a waste of time for me to be involved. It's a waste of time for me to even say it. And it's foolhardy. How many of you are like this? How many of you can be identified in this paragraph? I didn't hear this until I was in Dayton, Tennessee, working the road as a sheriff deputy. I heard my sheriff say, that man would climb a tree to tell a lie. And people, when I say that, sometimes people say, what does that mean? In other words, that they will put effort in telling a lie when it's a whole lot easier to tell the truth with no effort. And sometimes that's a point of wisdom. It's a point of being wise. First of all, you're wise when you can see it, and you're wise when you don't do it. Let me read some more. Meddling in quarrels never finds answers. Let hornets nest alone, and don't pull down old houses over your own head. I know other people that will just, if something's going on, they got to get right in the middle of it. They got to be part of it. Meddlers are sure to hurt their own character. If you scrub other people's pigs, you will soon need scrubbing yourself. I'm telling you, this stuff is wise. It's good. It's good to hear this. Leave other people's matters alone. Don't get involved in them. Because if you scrub their pig, you're going to end up dirty. That's what John Plowman is saying. If the height of folly, to interfere, it is the height of folly to interfere between a man and his wife. For they will be sure to leave off fighting each other and turn their whole strength upon you. And it would serve you right, too, or also. You know, some arguments are just not worth getting involved in. Let them be. Let them go. Because they were arguing 3 years before you met them. They'll be arguing 3 years after you're gone. And nothing you can do can change people who like to argue. Some people are just born to argue. They want to debate everything. If you put your spoon into another person's broth and it scalds you, who is to blame but you? Don't put your spoon in somebody else's soup, because you might get burned, and when you do, it's your own fault. Keep your spoon in your own soup. Don't mind anybody else's. You know, a lot of church problems could be taken care of by listening to this wisdom. This is wise. That's why I put it in here. Now, the way he says it is an old English way, and you got to think about it to make it so that it'll make sense to you. You got to think about it. One more thing. Don't attempt to make a strong-minded woman give way. But remember, if she will, she will. You may depend on it. You may depend on it. If she won't, she won't. And there's an end to it. The other day, I cut out a newspaper, a scrap from America, which shall be my end piece. Dip the Mississippi dry with a teaspoon. Twist your heel into the toe of your boot. Send up fishing hooks with balloons and fish for stars. Get astride a gossamer and chase a comet. That's a goose. Okay? When a rainstorm is coming down like the cataract of Niagara, remember where you left your umbrella. It's too late then. Okay? That's what he's saying. Choke a flea with a brickbat. That I don't understand. That's the word my wife used to say when she was a teenager, a brickbat. I never understood it. In short, prove everything hitherto considered impossible to be possible. But never attempt to coax a woman to say she will when she has made up her mind to say she won't. It's just better off to leave it and go pray. Go talk to God and let Him change her mind. Because you surely won't. You surely won't. Those are good things to remember. You may not agree with all of them, but the majority is good common sense, of which is no longer common any longer. Common sense is no longer common. It's uncommon. If you find someone with common sense, you have found a very unique person. You found a very unique person. Common sense would have said, go out of the house with your cane. But I did not have common sense. And I suffered for it. Okay? Use common sense, and it will cost you a whole lot less blood and suffering and trouble. My son, attend unto my wisdom, and bow thine ear to my understanding, that thou mayest regard discretion. In other words, so that you'll know when to not do something and when to do something. Your discretionary abilities are up around the high mark of 10, and they're not down around the low mark of 1 or 2. Use discretion. Have you ever heard that word? Ever heard that? It means use common sense. It also means strongly use the Bible. Use the Bible. So, amen. I'm glad to be